There are pictures out there where they were lynching Black people. Little kids was out there. It was like a big barbecue. It was a big party to watch a person being hung. Think about the barbaric nature of that. And the Democrats are saying, yo, y'all wilding out. Black people need to have their rights protected. And we're going to make sure that the 14th and 15th Amendments are being enforced by this Civil Rights Act and this Voting Rights Act. And Republicans are like, nah, man, you're taking away our state rights and our individual freedom. Led by Senator Barry Goldwater. Goldwater's opposition was not based on support for segregation, but rather on a strict Constitution interpretation and belief in limited federal government. That is BS. That's a line from a school textbook from the South. No, Barry Goldwater was opposed to Black people having freedoms. He was opposed to segregation ending. And this is the reason why it's so very, very important for history books to be correct and to be in libraries, and not this critical race theory that everybody thinks that they're teaching kids. No, they're just teaching kids the real history of America. So you can sugarcoat it all you want to, but I read that line and I'm telling you for emphasis that history books in the South are written completely different than history books in the North, because history books in the South were rewritten by the Daughters of the Confederacy. They've evolved over time. You might know them now as those Liberty Moms. Same organization, different name. But okay. What happened with Black voters? Because Black voters used to vote Republican. Why? Because Lincoln and the Republicans freed the slaves, sort of. They fought for Black rights until, right? So Black people were Republican and voted Republican because Republicans were the party of Lincoln. Now we got Lyndon Baines Johnson, a Southern Democrat, Texas Democrat, and John Kennedy before him fighting for Black people. So what happened? As the Democratic Party increasingly embraced civil rights, Black voters who had traditionally supported Republican since Reconstruction began to shift their allegiance to Democrats. This realignment was further solidified by the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which dismantled legal barriers from Black disenfranchisement. By the late 1960s, the majority of Black voters had moved to the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party was about that civil rights and social justice. Okay. What did the GOP do? So there was a movement of white Southern voters to the GOP. I mean, naturally, that would be the case, right? The GOP began to attract white Southern voters who felt alienated by the Democratic Party civil rights agenda. Now, remember, at this time, Republicans are in the North, Democrats are in the South. Democrats dominate the South, Republicans dominate the North. Okay? 1960s, you see this shift. You see a lot of white Southerners pissed off about the civil rights movement. If you don't believe me, go take Google. It's not really that hard to do, and look up pictures of integration of schools. Watch the large crowds of grown ass white adults yelling at little Black school children. Little. There are some high school ones as well, which is not okay, but the little ones. The Republican Party, that's right, they love the kids, right? So what happened was that white Southerners was like, yo, the hell with this civil rights stuff. I'm going Republican. Why? Because Republicans were opposed to the civil rights movement in the 1960s. See that shift? The Republican Party was going to appeal specifically to these white voters over the concern of civil rights and state rights and federal intervention. Like the federal government can't tell you how to live your life. That's was the basis that they maintained their bigotry. The federal government shouldn't tell you how to live your life. The federal government wasn't telling them how to live your life. The federal government was just saying, hey, you can't restrict these people from living their lives. What this meant is that the South saw a switch from a Democratic stronghold to a Republican stronghold. Such prominent Democrats like Strom Thurmond, who was a governor, senator of South Carolina. He was in the Senate and Congress for like all his life, like 80 years. During this time, had been a Democrat, switched parties, became a Republican. This was what was happening then. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notifications button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/Unsolicited Perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.